Here we go. Let's get our volume up. All right. What's going on there? Okay. So today's book, Case for Universal Basic Income. It's coming, especially since California has stopped their reparations. They were going to be the biggest reparations bill. They've been doing reparations in different states and different counties on different city levels. They've been doing some universal basic income on city levels too. But we're going to get into why this is coming. There's a lot of us work for ourselves, but we don't get to support it. As you can see my numbers, but we still work. So you're gonna have to subsidize that, or you're going to have 60 to 70% of your people just living in tents. I don't know what kind of society that is, and if you think that that would be okay, imagine coming out of your house every day and people sleeping on your stairs and sidewalk, because that's what it'll be. So let's get into chapter 1: basic income in time. A democratic humanist case for basic income reform. The idea of basic income to give all residents a modest regular income grant that is not dependent on means tests or work requirements has caught the attention of policymakers and social activists across the globe. The proposal has been around for a long time. English radicals put forward a version of late 18th century England, Thomas Spence as a dividend from communally owned land, and Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers, the one they never talk about because he wasn't as much an oligarch as the others, from my understanding. Thomas Paine as a payment from land rent to make up for the private appropriation of the commons with a right, not a charity. Basic income initiatives have appeared since in different guises. One variety discussed in the United States in the 1970s involved simplifying and reducing welfare services in favor of alleviating poverty. Basic income has recently resurfaced in Europe with a referendum in Switzerland in 2016 and in 2017. The Finnish government introduced a 2-year official experiment investigating a partial form of this policy by lifting conditions on income support. Municipalities in a series of other countries, including the Netherlands, Denmark, France, and Spain, have launched similar pilots. However, the idea remains controversial, with a British parliamentary inquiry concluding that the citizens' income is not the solution to welfare state problems. If distributing money on a regular basis and lifelong basis to everyone is desirable, why is the plan thought so controversial? And why has the idea not been pursued until now? Because you have insane people running the place who have no idea what we're going to do on the ground. So detached from reality. So first of all, it would be a grant. Now we apply for grants all the time. I'm in the midst of applying for grants for some programs I have. But in the United States, you have to you apply for grants. You have to try to have 501c3. You have to have a corporation. You have to have all that stuff. Um, so we do it like we do everything backward. It would be a grant, and technology has driven us past the point where we need people to do things. Right now, there were when we went to the pandemic lockdown, they showed you most people are not producing anything and not mastering any skills on their job, which is the only two purposes for work. So people are just going to work to be busy, and the government gives corporations all kinds of grants to hire people. Well, you can cut that in half and just give it straight to the people. You cut down on traffic, you cut down on pollution, you cut down on depression, you cut down on insanity, the lack of mental health. You cut down on delusion, right? With with a basic income, so it's going to improve a lot of different things. As a black person, you stabilize the family, you stabilize the home, because black men, and now even more and more black women, have always been pushed into unstable jobs and unstable employment situations, right? And of course, that's done on purpose. A basic income would improve the family. All poor people, and there were a lot of black poor people, especially since 2008, even more black poor people than there were. If you don't believe me and you live, go to the closest city to you and go and I don't know, probably you could just go to the downtown area and watch how many homeless men, black men you see, or watch how many homeless black men you see sleeping along the side of roads and highways and all of that kind of stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of different kind of people there. You're going to see a lot of black men. And more increasingly, I'm starting to see more black women sleeping out. I saw a black woman sleeping out in front of the church with two Rottweilers. So she has two dogs to protect her. Because a woman got raped recently in Coney Island under the boardwalk. So this woman has dogs to protect her. So you're gonna have to have a basic income to just, it would stabilize people. It would take people off these meaningless jobs, and actually give them a chance to develop. And we don't know what will come out of that. Maybe a lot of them would just sit around and just use their basic income to just chill. But you got people doing that anyway. But if 80% of them chill and 20% of them come up with ideas and businesses and all kinds of other things that make the world better, that's a better chance than having them languish in meaningless, useless jobs, especially when you have the technology that you'll need it. There should be no cashiers at this point. None. Why are we still using cashiers? Why? And you don't have many in the store anyway. You always have like one, you always have like two, right? 10 registers, 2 cashiers. Just self-checkout everybody, and then just have the, if you want to have a guard to check out receipts, then that's fine. Because you have to, but you know what? You may have less stealing if you do basic income. I'm not going to say it's going to go down to zero, but you may have less. You may be able to start, change the business model to, you pay a membership and you come and let's say you fill up a bag. This way you ain't got to worry about security. You ain't got to worry about, well, you security to come in and check. You check that we have an ID, or we scan in. You can have it where we scan in to come into the market, and then we leave, we scan out, right? But you would always have to have a person on the premises, but you can have one person, 2 people max. You don't need 10, 15 people in a supermarket. And the less people you need, the more people are going to be displaced. And you need some kind of income for them, for being citizens. And to be honest, being a citizen of the United States is becoming more and more difficult. Just being a citizen is becoming difficult. So we know that basic income is coming. That's also going to change the rents and things like that, because you won't be able to inflate rents. Rents will have to come down to where the people who have the money have it. I'll be excited to see if black couples will stay together more, because now the adult male has, let's say, $1,400 a month coming in, and the female, that's an extra $2,800 a month coming in besides their work and their jobs. You see, so now he could still do the things that off and on, that unstable work, whether it's being a handyman, doing carpentry, fixing things, or whatever. You may have a situation where you could take your children out of school, put them in a safer situation, and educate them at home, and then have social time in the community. That would be something. Let's continue on. The first thing to note about basic income is the wide spectrum of support the scheme enjoys. Endorsements from varying ideological schools share a common claim from which this book takes its departure. Whatever form you might think society ought to take, whether you support an enterprise or a cooperative economy, first a society of individuals functioning on their own and together needs to come into being. Incorporation is a foundation for civilization, the market, human development, social equality, and democracy. Post-war welfare states made strides in social incorporation, but their foundations were weak. Containing working adults within society was too reliant on one institution, the employment contract. This contract form lacked an independent underpinning. The result was bureaucratic intrusion into individuals, decisions in the course of administering rights to subsistence. States which supported individuals' freedom through health and school took it away in the marketplace. As employment became more precarious, the coercive implications of the lack of independent material security for all have only gotten worse. Now, I heard a podcaster say that it wasn't true that social workers were coming into people's houses and driving black men away. And he's from Oakland. I can tell you in New York City, it was absolutely true. Because I'm old enough to remember. I'm 53 and I remember there could be no men in the house. There could be no men's clothes in the house. Because when I reached a certain age, they would ask my mother, whose clothes are these? As I was growing. And she would say, my son's. You know, they didn't make me put them on or nothing like that, but it's like, oh, okay. So I absolutely know that was a thing. Maybe it was just in New York City. Maybe it wasn't widespread. Maybe California didn't do it that way. But that was a thing. And that broke up families because it sent the men out of the house. So I'm excited to see if it could hold some black couples together, because you're not going nowhere without a family. I'm sorry. You just ain't. Families build communities. Communities build societies. And that's the way it is. And if you're fractured at the family level, society is going to be fractured. I don't care how much money you have. Money could gloss over a lot of things in this world, but then you just have a person with money doing pathological things but paying people off not to say anything. Or going to expensive rehabs multiple times. Or going to minimum security prisons so that they can be safe and not a general population, even if you have money. But for the most of the people, it just breeds, you can't have it. It's expensive, and stability is expensive. Even the people who would make money off of us, like prisons and things like that, they don't need people anymore like they used to. They still kind of need people to make clothes and do sewing and things like that, but you need less and less people. And with 3D printing and things like that, you just need less people. So this is coming. And what will probably happen is, if you are not mentally capable to, because you're going to have to fill out some paperwork to get this, probably like the pandemic through the IRS. You'll give your name, you'll fill out something on the IRS website, irs.gov, and your name, your social security. You'll put photocopies of your ID, and you might do like the unemployment department last time during the pandemic. I did a video interview just like this with a young lady and held up my ID to see that I was the same person. You might have to go into a place and let a person see that it's you to cut down on fraud before you get what you're gonna get. But it should be very easy, and once you get it, that's it. And you give them a bank account online to have it directly deposited into, just like you did the stimulus. It'll probably be that way. And The people who are mentally deficient, they can't do that. Now institutions can take them in because the $1,400 will follow them, right? And you'll see how many people all of a sudden can become smart when they say, well, you can't be on the street because now there will be no homelessness. Basically, this will get rid of homelessness in 1 month because now they'll sweep you. And if you don't have a room or you ain't have no place, they'll sweep you and they'll put you in an institution, an adult assisted living or a psych ward or whatever, and then that place will get your basic income. It'll be a boom on that side. So you're gonna have to be careful. You're gonna have to move quick when this thing comes. But within the first year, you should be okay. They probably would give you like a year to be okay. I personally would get out of this slummy thing that they got going on here, or I wouldn't even renegotiate it. I would get out of it and probably use Airbnb and get long-term leases and pay that, and then or see if I could find a room or an apartment that's affordable. There's not much in New York City, but I think once we get this, now some people say once we get this, then rents will go up. Yeah, but I can't see landlords letting us have money and not taking it in. Now I know the landlords can write off the loss if they leave the apartments empty, but empty apartments after a while, then you might have people breaking in and living in for free, even with their UBI. You see what I'm saying? So it would make more sense for them to do that, but we'll see how that shakes out. Then you might have some cities where people might move. There's other cities in the north. I could see Detroit, Cleveland. There's a lot of places that have been deindustrialized. You might see people moving from the New Yorks and the Californias and the Chicagos to go into those communities and areas. Newark, New Jersey is cheaper than New York City, so you might see people move from New York City. Matter of fact, a lot of people do move from New York City down to Newark. You might see people moving into Patterson, into Newark, into those places like that. So I can't wait for it. I hope that it comes in my lifetime. My body's breaking down, but I think it'll be soon. I think it'll be in the next few years. No matter who's the president, who's the governor, who's the mayor, because if you look outside, you see the instability. Now, if we don't do basic income, then you're talking about a savage society, a Mad Max society, where you can step out your door and be gutted. And I don't mean that in a theoretical sense that, you never know what could happen. It'll be more likely that when you step out, you're going to have guns or knives or something to protect yourself. It'll be closer to the purge than what it is. It's up to us. Do we want this? Or do we like the rap song? You say, you can get with this or you can get with that. I'm with this. Especially over that. Take care, be safe, and we'll do more classes. I'll do another one Sunday. That'll probably be behind the paywall, but I'm going to do this all next week because I didn't give you too many classes this week. So take care, be safe, and support. All the links are below.